Okay, this week is taking a break from going over stuff with the Smart Recovery to do like the usual typical program review of the Athlete X programs that I do and everything. So I just finished up like last week the built size program. So I'm getting to this kind of like a week late and everything because I usually do it as I'm finishing up and everything. But that's not neither here nor there. So the build size is kind of like of several of like a build programs. There's like a I've done build for strength like last year. I just finished, like I said, build size. There's also like longevity and performance as well. So there's probably like a fifth one that I'll mention like later once I double check and everything. But like these ones are like a month long programs, like as they kind of like the titles entail, they focus in on certain things and everything for every specific month and everything. So like last year doing build strength, it's designed to kind of like a build strength. This one is designed to build size and everything. Now, of course, with 1 month, you're not necessarily going to become like a. In this case, with built size, you're not necessarily going to become massive in 1 month and everything. What it does is like it gives you like that foundation and that kind of like that idea of like, okay, this is like the what you do for building size or building strength, or like in the case like longevity, how you go about doing stuff for like being able to do things for the entirety of your life and everything. Hence longevity, and then performance, it's geared more towards like athletic performance and everything. So with this one, max size, that's an older program. Another one that I've done. So like, max size and max shred. That's tandem for like you start off with max shred and like pretty much like get a bunch of like peel off a bunch of like body fat and then like and lose size, like lose weight and everything, and then you ramp right into max size where you start building on size, and those ones are like 3 months long. So like you could go about the things like several different ways and everything. All the, as I keep rubbing my nose, all the different programs that the Athlete X has and everything. So I always state like you want to start off with AX1 and AX2, so that way you have like a good foundation of like, okay, what are the approaches, what are the principles, and like how are you going to go about doing like all the Athlete X programs. So with the AX1 and AX2 program, you'll have like a good 6 month foundation to then start getting into like the other programs like this one. So like this one might be like could be like your third one, depending on how I say that you should go about it. But like it could also be your first one. Like, hey, look, this is a 1 month program. I'm just going to try this and everything. See like maybe test the waters and see, like because I maybe not necessarily want to like commit to like a 3 month program with like say like the AX1 program. So the concept of this one is, as it, like, I'm kind of rambling now, is size. And so with the concept of size is like, okay, we're putting on like in a sense size. We're not necessarily putting on strength. So like there are different rep ranges for those. Like usually like with strength, you're going to go a lot heavier but lower reps. So like for instance, like you're shooting towards like your 3 to 5 max rep, whatever, for strength and everything, and you're getting longer rest times. This one is like more towards like with size more towards like the 8 to 12 rep range with like a minute and a half or so, 2 minute rest time. With strength, you're probably looking at least 2 to 5 minutes rest time in between sets because you're really exerting yourself lifting heavy weight. So you're upping the reps and everything, but you're also decreasing the rest time in between to kind of get in that rep range that I mentioned of 8 to 12 to try and like build size and everything. Now this one is an upper lower split and everything, so you got like two uppers and two lowers workouts. So like for instance, like you could go in and do like a Sunday, Monday, and take Tuesday off, and then like a Wednesday, Thursday, and then you have like Friday, Saturday off, or like during the typical work week, you could do Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday off, do Thursday, Friday, and then get the weekend off. And so that way, like that would fit perfectly if you have a family. You could still have your weekends off to be able to go out and do stuff with your kids and stuff. Now, the way the way it's programmed is that like each like upper and each lower, you're like in a sense focusing on something specific. Like you're doing like you're breaking up in like the anterior and posterior chains. So like the first upper workout of the week is you're doing your anterior chain. You're focusing basically like on your pushing exercises, like your chest, your triceps. You do have like a couple like exercises where like you do kind of like in a sense touch up on like your back exercises. So you like have like a couple to kind of finish off the workout. So you're in essence getting both, but you're primarily focusing on like your front side when like you're doing your first workout. They do there are corrective one corrective exercise at the end of each workout, kind of like and that's kind of like another overarching theme of like Athlete X, of course, with Jeff Cavaliere being a physical therapist, kind of like having a mind towards like that longevity and being doing corrective exercise and making sure you don't create those imbalances. The first lower workout or leg workout, you're tending to focus on the same kind of concept, the anterior chain with your quads and stuff, and you do an exercise with both the lower workouts, both leg workouts. You do one exercise for calves and everything, and then like again you do in a sense a touch up, for instance, for like your posterior chain doing hamstrings. So you have like a couple of exercises for that, but the primary focus on the first one is your quads and stuff. Then like after your in a sense day off after doing those first two, you then switch gears, and then like your upper workout is a focus on your posterior chain with your back and your biceps with again with a touch up like with a couple exercises with the chest work exercises, so you kind of do like touch up with that, and the same kind of concept with like the lower two workout is that you're focusing on your hamstrings and like your posterior chain with like a touch up on like your quads and stuff, and then that's how it goes for the whole month and everything. So like and it goes like you have like four different like in a sense workouts for each one. Like it goes like A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, D1, D2 type of deal for like in a sense like both upper and lower. So you're kind of like switching out exercises like each week. And of course you got the whole overarching theme with being size. You're doing like the 8 to 12 rep range. So some are like 10 to, you want to do form failure between 10 and 12. Others are like between like 8 and 12. But the overarching theme is 8 to 12 reps that you're failing within. And for each exercise, like for instance, like the bench press, the dumbbell bench press, like the back squat, you're doing like your 8 to 12 rep range to put on size and not necessarily pure strength. And of course, you like I said, you in essence like are rotating exercises, so you're not necessarily doing the same workouts throughout the whole month and everything. So again, kind of like going over the range and stuff like with this and everything, and how the structure, how you fit it in, and like where you want to do it. Like I mentioned earlier, you could jump right in and say, "Hey, look, I have several years' experience. I just kind of want to do a 1 month program to kind of like get kind of dip my toes in the water and see how these programs work and everything." So that's where something like this comes in handy if you want to like do this first. Now, of course, I always kind of like haven't done a bunch of the programs. I would say like yeah, start with the AX1 and AX2 programs. So like I said earlier, you get that foundation, and then you can kind of like okay, this is the kind of approach that that Jeff Cavalier's taken with his programs. Then you once you get that, you can kind of get into that and everything. But like that's kind of in a sense for beginners. For intermediates and more advanced lifters and stuff, it would be easy for you to get into this 1 month program because you already know like a lot of the lifting concepts and like the 8 to 12 rep range, like the 3 to 5 rep range for this, for that, and then like you kind of have like already a good foundation. So you have to kind of look at your situation on how you're coming into like lifting and taking care of yourself and everything. So for like I'm going to reiterate to kind of finish this off. So like if you're brand new to kind of like a lifting and like a physical fitness and in general, start with the AX1 program and then ramp yourself into AX2. Now I always mention that like with the TNT plugins for AX1, you could do the AX1 program several times with like all the different TNT plugins and then advance on to the AX2 program. Or like that's like either or, AX1 then the AX1 with the TNT plugins, then AX2 or AX1 to AX2, and then you can go from there. Like okay, well like I want to get like a slightly more experience, so like maybe I do some of his original NXT programs. There's 18 of them. I get into those, or like you can start ramping into like some of the more intermediate and advanced programs like like the ones I mentioned, like a max size, max shred. There's this one, part of the built series, built size, built strength, longevity, performance. There's also like a Monster Maker, old school iron. There's like a Jacked, which is a dumbbell program. They're also like 002 that are body weight programs. Elastics, which is a resistance band program, so those could be quite good to start off with before you do the AX1 program. So you kind of have to look at it like use like your brain for a second and be like, okay, so where am I sitting? Am I brand new? Then 001 could be like, and then moving on to elastics, then AX1, AX2 to get that foundation, or like, oh hey, look, I really want to challenge myself beginning off AX1. Or if you have like say 5 to 10 years experience of lifting and stuff, well, you know what, I'm going to start getting into more of these advanced ones, like these built ones, like this built size, or maybe like the other ones I mentioned, like old school iron, Jacked, Monster Maker, max size, max shred. So you kind of have to look at like where you're standing on like in a sense like the journey. Are you just beginning? Are you like intermediate, advanced? And then take this and kind of plug it in like okay, I'm intermediate, advanced. I can start with this. I'm like a beginner. I might want to put this one off until I finish like the other programs and everything. So I kind of like long-winded rant on the program and where it would fit in and everything. So like the typical review for like the program that I just finished was with built size. And the next one I plan on doing is like a new one called the Garage Gains, which would be perfect for people that like don't necessarily have access to a commercial gym and you just have a home gym. So in another month, that one's another month-long program. So I'll be finishing that one up, and as soon as I get that one done, it'll be a typical review of that. So until next week, when I'll be getting back into like your better alternatives to like your religious cult that is used for the good old substance abuse recovery.